like I have a need for fellowship, to be attached to some brothers, to be, I don't want to use the word accountability, because I'm accountable to Christ. I'm already accountable. I mean, if I can't be accountable to Christ, who can I be accountable to? So, and I am a grown adult. I believe in my lifetime I've learned discipline and, you know. But, I mean, I suppose there is an element of accountability as well. I think in this world there's also a need for somebody to vouch for you. I mean, you go for a new job and you have your old jobs and the bosses and the people that know you to say, yeah, this guy is like this, or this guy is a good guy, this guy does that, this guy's worked hard, this, you know, and be references for you. So I think in some ways, look at the Apostle Paul, and he sought out the brethren, you know, not only to share what, later on to share his revelation, but he'd already established a relationship with them of listening and learning and, you know, hearing their own evidence of Christ, and establishing himself with them as someone, you know, who could be a trusted brother. And he also went off by himself for a while, and he, you know, was anchored in his own relationship to the revelation that he had of Jesus. So in that sense, you know, I really do feel a need to be attached. As I've shared many times, I have this pressure traditionally, inwardly, traditionally, and outwardly from people to go to church, building a church. And that's just not happening. And it is frustrating. It is frustrating. I think that was programmed in me. I don't think that's a valid expression of what the church is supposed to be. And maybe that's why I don't feel fit in when I go to these places. I don't feel like I belong. I feel like they're onto something that I'm just not into, so to speak. And it doesn't mean I don't believe that they're children of God, that they don't know Jesus, that we don't share Him. It's just that I can't commit to the vision that they have of the way, you know, they see things. And if they separate from me because of that, if they suddenly see me as an outsider because of that, and not because they're looking at my relationship with Jesus or the fruit that I'm bearing, then that's on them. That's not on me. As long as I don't, you know, I'm not holding that against them, so to speak. I want to look at the fact that, do we fellowship Him? So, anyway, that being said, I have to think that this unction that I'm feeling to be attached is important, and that I need to heed it. So I've kind of, you know, I kind of have been looking for this, I think, for many months, and maybe even right at the beginning of my recommitment to the Lord. And there's been a few brothers and sisters that I have thought about, and, you know, they don't have to be like great apostles or anything like that. It just has to be a vision that I can relate to. And I think I'm starting to find one. I'm starting to find a brother who lives in Florida. His name is Jose. And I'm starting to feel like what he is saying that I read is, you know, bearing testimony and witness to what is inside of me. Now, I'm 61 years old. I don't think I'm going to live long, just to be honest. I mean, in the terms of length, you know. Now, I could live to be 90. That'd be great. But I'm just trying to be realistic here. And so, I'm not a neophyte. I'm not a new disciple by any means. I've had a lot of, history. But I am newly coming out of the wilderness, or still in the wilderness. And if I'm going to attach to a mover man of God as a covering, or as a accountability kind of thing, then I have to trust that they can also witness that and see that and look beyond the natural realms of, you need to spend about 5 years with me, that kind of thing. So anyway, so that's just a mile marker on accountability, and the fact that I do look for it. I'm not adverse to it at all and feel led that way. So I'm not, I just want you to know, I'm not a lone ranger out here believing I have all the superiority there is and God's man of the hour. And God help me from spiritual superiority and ego. It's easy to see your ego in the flesh, but to see ego in the spirit, believe me, it still goes on. It's all over the place. People believing that they're hearing from God, and that their word is the word, and that everybody should conform to that image of how they see things and how we see things as a person.